Welcome back to our 12 Days of Magic with Elf School. Today what we're going to talk about is maintenance on a few things. Number one, you always want to quilt with a good, sharp rotary blade. And I'm going to talk to you and show you how to change your rotary blade. A lot of times people come into the shop and their blades are not cutting right, or it's we've even had some where they've had two blades on them. So I'm going to show you the proper way to change your blade on your rotary cutter. So most rotary cutters, especially the Olfa, have a little nut on the back. So it's got a little nut on the back, and I'm just going to take that nut off. It's righty tighty, lefty loosey. So you just spin to the left, and then I'm going to lay my nut down, and then I'm just going to let the rest of it fall off. Okay, so you have this little yellow washer, and then this is a lock washer. I like to keep those in the order that I took them off, because that's the same order that they need to go back on. Okay, so now it's loose, and you need to be very careful not to cut yourself. So I take my cutter and I flip it over, and then I lift the cutter off, and then now I have my blade left. You can do two things at this point. You can pinch your blade where you're not going to touch the edge of it, just pinch it and lift it off, or you can pinch the back of the nut and just kind of flip it upside down like that. So those are two ways that you could do it. Just be careful not to touch or squeeze the outer rim of your blade, because it is a razor blade. It is very sharp and it will cut you. And it's like the old adage about a dull knife will cut you worse than a sharp one would. So the dull blades are kind of dangerous for that. So now I'm going to go in reverse and get a blade out of my case. So I'm going to flip it over, and now there's multiple blades in here, and they're kind of got a little oil on them. So if you want to kind of pinch and slide it, and that will make sure that you only get one blade. I'm going to put the rest of them in my case, and I'm going to just go in reverse order. I'm going to put my nut back in the top of that, and then I'm going to drop that back in my rotary cutter, just like so. I'm going to flip it over, hold that in place and flip it over. Then I have my yellow washer goes on, my lock washer will go on, and then my nut will go on with the indentation down, and I'm going to spin it to the right like that. And that is how you change your blade in a rotary cutter. So this is a mat cleaner, and all you have to do is just like a little brush. You just want to clean off the little things off of your mat. That gets this is your ironing mat that keeps it nice and clean. So it just kind of you take the scraper and you just clean off your mat. It gets rid of all of the stuff left behind. It gets rid of the batting pieces on your mat, or your little threads. Gives it a nice good clean. All right, now we're going to go over to the sewing machine and talk about how to clean and maintain that area. All right, so next up we're going to talk about how to clean our sewing machines. You can use the 3 bobbin rule. So if you sew through 3 bobbins, you need to go ahead and clean out the bobbin case area. So I like to kind of dust and get all the little areas off of, or little fuzzies off of my needle plate, my needle bar, that kind of thing. So I'm going to go ahead and lift my needle plate here. This is a push button one. Yours might have a screws that you have to take off. So I'm just going to take this out. And it's dirty. I've sewn on it for a while and haven't cleaned it out. So now I have all these little dusty areas. What I'm using to clean with is the Nook and Cranny cleaning tools from Gypsy Quilter. And we also have the sewing machine cleaning brushes from Quilting a Day. Both of these are great products to have. One thing you do not want to use is canned air. Canned air has moisture in it, and if you spray that into your sewing machine, your parts could rust. So I'm taking my bobbin out. I took my bobbin case out, and then I'm just going to gently gather all that dust and lint that has been in there from my sewing. Ooh, it's dirty. Look how dirty it is. So that's all I'm going to do is just kind of take the brush and move it around. I'm going to pick up any extra pieces of thread that may have been stuck down in there. You do not want to get aggressive with this. You just kind of want to clean out all the little nook and crannies. And if this little brush is too big, you want to, go in there with the smaller one and just get all the little lint out. Some people like to use a little vacuum cleaner. I'm not sure that works any better than this, but if you find that it's really dirty and it's been more than a year, if you use your machine regularly and it's been around a year, you should have it serviced by a local dealer. So take it to your machine dealer to have that done, and they will get in there and get all of what you can't see, what you cannot get to. They'll go ahead and get all that cleaned up for you and lubricated on the wick. Put grease on the parts that need to be greased and oiled on the parts that need oil. Little circle here, it's a little gray area. Some people think that that's dirt. That is actually a wick. It is a wick that takes oil from up here down to the machine shaft. Do not mess with that. Leave that in place. Check your owner's manual. Sometimes they'll tell you to put some oil on it, but if you have a Janome, it's not necessary. Just don't want you to remove that. A lot of people think that's dirt and they'll get a piece of tweezer and just pull that out, but you need to leave that alone. That's important for the function of your machine. And then I'm just going to continue to get all those little dust bunnies out. That's what we ended up with. Now that I'm finished, I'm going to put my bobbin case back in, clean it up a little bit, get the dust off of it. And I want to make sure that this little arrow here, this little arrow is going to match up with the little arrow that is on the machine. Slip that under there and lock it into place so that they should match up. And then I'm just going to raise up my presser foot a little bit and slide that in where it goes and just drop it down, and we're ready to move on to the next project. Okay, so if you enjoyed learning all about how to maintain your machine and your rotary cutter and your mats, then make sure that you give us a thumbs up, like and follow, and press the subscribe button down below.